New Zealand is often considered one of the safest countries in the world, sometimes regarded as a safe haven for the super rich, and perhaps is one of those countries that came to your mind when you thought about emigrating. At the beginning of this year, I completed an internship in Auckland, and I see this not only as a boost for my CV, but also kind of as a strategic life planning move. So in this video, I want to give you a deeper insight into the experiences I was able to gain and hope to answer questions for those of you who want to know what it might be like to gain a little work experience in Auckland. Okay, so first of all, I want to say this video does not perfectly describe the reality or how it will be felt by everyone. I'm mainly giving my personal motivations, perspectives, research results, and experiences. I think it is also important to mention that Auckland is probably not the number one choice for an internship to boost your CV to a world elite level, but it definitely provides you with the opportunity to have fun in a lively, healthy community, gain international professional experience, and enrich your knowledge of interesting places around the world. Especially if you've ever played with the idea of emigrating one day, or if you think New Zealand could be the country you would emigrate to if XY happened, it makes sense to get to know the place personally first, so you know what you're even talking about. And if you have a mindset where you don't allow yourself to waste time by simply traveling, it makes definitely sense to stay in an industry hub and gain some valuable work experience. I mean, it's still international work experience in a respected Western business environment. Okay, let's get down to the professional advantage of Auckland. While New Zealand is mainly famous for its agriculture, Auckland is a corporate powerhouse and generates about 40% of the GDP. Auckland is the center for finance, banking, and insurances in the country, and also has a lot of law and consulting companies settled here. Key industries also include tech, engineering, and marketing. Creative film and screen production is growing, as are game development and digital media. Due to population growth and the constant state of development, the demand for engineers, architects, and managers in construction and infrastructure is growing as well. And accordingly, you will also very probably find something if you are active in healthcare or social assistance. From what I've experienced myself, Auckland is particularly strong due to the many small, very powerful companies specializing in niche markets. Logically, the industry of such a small nation cannot compete with giants from Asia in terms of quantity. Instead, they managed to produce outstanding smaller companies across several industries. The honest truth is, you can't expect the same scale of innovation you would find in San Francisco or London, but Auckland hosts some world-class innovative companies in fintech, health tech, gaming, and aerospace. But even I, who did not have direct touchpoints with those, experienced how high the motivation of Auckland companies was for unique positioning in the global market. I did my internship in a New Zealand high-end marine tech company. Even though they are an SME, they are globally recognized and work on world-famous super yachts. These aren't just rich people's toys, they require military-grade reliability in their networks and automation. They even received the CDA Member of Excellence Award, which is the highest global standard in this industry. But also my roommate in Auckland, who at the same time did an internship at an architecture company, told me how specialized their team was. The projects were mostly very niche and special. They were serving high-end clients all over the world and had a global image. Lots of headquarters of bigger companies are obviously located in the CBD. But others, like my company for example, were in the northern part of Auckland. Here, one unlucky part is that you can only get there via the bridge, which has a bad reputation. But indeed, the bus takes you very quickly from A to B, as it has its own lane to bypass traffic. That way I was able to get from Ponsonby Road to Constellation Drive within about 40 to 50 minutes. I could have just stayed closer to my workspace, but to be honest, I wanted to stay closer to the city center, and as I'm from Berlin, a 40 to 50 minute ride doesn't really bother me. My roommate, on the other hand, had only a 10 minutes walk to her office. A real highlight for me was the flat hierarchy and the work culture in general. It is easier to network with bosses and decision makers here than in Europe or the US, and this is something I can tell you with real conviction. Not only did we have a joint barbecue, a breakfast, and go fishing and playing paintball within the 3 months I was there, but my boss also took me on a private trip to another city for the Americana event because he wanted me to see more of the country. Obviously, I was quite lucky with that, but I have often heard about similar positive impressions. Coming to free time, Auckland simply has so much to offer. You can climb Mount Eden or One Tree Hill after work for a 360-degree sunset view. Go to a beach like Mission Bay or Takapuna Beach, where they even had an open-air cinema I went to one evening, or just explore one of the unique shops and cafes the colorful city has to offer. Auckland generally has a lot of parks and often provides free public barbecue spots. What I also find particularly appealing is the athletic lifestyle in Auckland and the opportunities this offers. Sports fans can check out professional games, especially rugby and cricket, but also soccer and basketball. I've often seen clubs or just people playing outside in parks, and I met a few travelers who played soccer every week with a group they knew. Of course, there are also opportunities to go sailing or surfing, but for me, city kickboxing was particularly interesting because I could train various martial arts with elite trainers and inspiring fighters in an old school setting. Auckland also offers some nightlife areas. The CBD and the harbour for more mainstream and upscale experiences. Ponsonby, which I found to be a stylish and modern place where you can meet a lot of young locals. And K Road, which offers an alternative scene, cultural encounters and pretty good nightclubs. So you can definitely have some fun going out here. But you also have to know that the nightlife in Auckland is not comparable to that in Berlin, for example. Most clubs close at 3 AM, and at that time you'll rarely find a store where you can still buy something. Also during the main uni break in summer, the clubs feel noticeably quieter. But there is still always some people you can meet. Even if you may see some drug addicts in the CBD or witness a little brawl, I feel like Auckland generally is a very safe city. On weekends you can obviously take a little more time and simply explore other parts of the country. Either you take a ferry to an island like Waiheke Island and do some wine tastings, or take a road trip to a volcano you want to climb, to glowworm caves, remote beaches, forests, or hot springs. New Zealand is far from everyone else. But this is exactly what also makes it a safe, stable and neutral corner of the world. It preserves many advantages of Western culture and, if necessary, can be self-sufficient with the help of its natural resources. By doing an internship there, you use a low-risk way to see if the lifestyle actually fits you before committing to a permanent move. Okay, before I come to the ideas for a practical guide, a little disclaimer. I'm not an immigration advisor or financial consultant. All details can change and you must check them on the official immigration and scholarship websites. The best and most common option is the working holiday visa, which lets you stay and work in New Zealand for up to 12 months. It is available for people from approximately 40 countries and most of the time for people aged 18 to 30 or 18 to 35. Some countries have a limited quota for this visa, while many Western countries have unlimited spots. Unfortunately, people from not working holiday visa countries have to go down a much harder path and should probably think about alternatives to internships. From what I've heard from people who still have managed to do it, it usually makes sense to pay particular attention to certain government initiative portals, and those of global organizations that support young people from a variety of countries. Uni starts around March, and the regular summer internship season is from November to February. This will be especially relevant if you plan to do a conventional internship at the Big Four or another large company. But off-cycle internships are possible, especially if you take the trouble to find smaller, interesting companies and write them personally. Kiwis appreciate initiative, so in my case, cold emailing worked very well to get an internship pretty spontaneously. I think we first had a chat about 2 months before I started. Depending on your previous work experience, you can expect to be given more responsibility in your job. But even without experience, you can still find interesting internships. It is definitely worth writing to several companies. Of course, most of such internships are poorly paid or unpaid. Depending on your country of origin, there are often options for financial support. Accordingly, in Germany, for instance, there is the DAAD Promos initiative where your home university distributes money for purposes like research and internships. The European Erasmus Plus program has a component for partner countries, which includes New Zealand, but this is also completely dependent on your home university. Other options here would include reaching out to foundations that might have an interest in the field you're planning to do an internship in. A tougher but also possible option would be to take on a part-time job in addition. Or you can save money beforehand through your regular work either at home or locally. In any case, you will have to cover the basic costs, which depending on your lifestyle are likely to quickly accumulate to over 2,000 New Zealand dollars. But I have some good tips here that might be useful. Okay, first, don't rent a room for your whole stay up front. It makes more sense to find somewhere to stay for a short time first and then check out the accommodations you find on portals in person. Here you can see particularly good portals for finding apartments and rooms. I stayed in a hostel in the CBD for 3 weeks when I met a girl from my home country who told me about a room that had become available in her apartment. For the room, which was arguably very small, and the bills, I paid about $250 a week, which was way less than anything I could find from home. Also, it was nicely located, close to the Grey Lynn Park, and we had our own terrace and garden. To get around, the AT Hop card is a must-have. I would actually say the buses are okay. You get around with them quite well, and even if I didn't know about this when I was there seems to be a weekly cap of 50 New Zealand dollars. However, especially at night within the city center, it is often more convenient to get around with a Lime scooter, so having the app or some discounts there might be a benefit. Ultimately, I want to say this internship was an investment in my career and in my peace of mind. Auckland is an economic hub with world-class innovative companies and a pleasant work culture. But as I said, in my opinion, this experience can be perceived as much bigger than just a CV boost. I hope you found these insights and tips helpful. If so, or if you at least enjoyed watching the video, I would appreciate your support in form of a like, comment or subscribe, as I've just started to create content and will continue to do so.